Hi, Shannon Pugh here. So I wanted to come and talk to you guys about a topic that has seemingly been gaining a lot of popularity lately, as well as quite a bit of criticism, and that is keto or ketogenic eating. So I just want to break it down for you guys, and if you have any questions, just post them in the comment below. So let's start with the basics. What is keto? What is the ketogenic diet? What is the ketogenic lifestyle all about? So I'm going to take you guys to basically the very basics of nutrition real quick. And that is traditionally, we have eaten a lot of carbohydrates, and that has been our main energy source. And the reason that carbohydrates have been our main energy source is because of glucose. When you eat carbohydrates, your body breaks them down into glucose, which is our main energy source. And that's how the body runs, and that's how the body operates predominantly. Now, with keto or the ketogenic diet, you're switching that all on its head, essentially. So instead of eating carbohydrates for energy, you are now eating fat for energy. And the reason that it's called keto or ketogenic is that when you eat fat and your body begins to use fat instead of glucose or carbohydrates for fuel, your body creates ketones, and you run off of ketones. So that's why it's ketogenic. So keto has gotten a pretty bad reputation by a lot of people because there's confusion between ketosis, which is the goal of the ketogenic diet, and ketoacidosis. Ketoacidosis is a very serious medical condition. It requires a person to seek medical assistance right away, and ketosis is not the same thing. So ketoacidosis is typically when somebody has uncontrolled diabetes, and what happens is that they are not producing enough insulin and their blood glucose level rises to a very dangerous level. And so this person would need an injection of insulin quickly in order to bring their blood sugar back down and kind of get them back to homeostasis. Ketosis is not anything close to that, and actually ketosis helps to stabilize blood sugar. So it is a diet or a lifestyle that could actually be beneficial to people with diabetes or that are insulin resistant, because your blood sugar stays really, really even. The reason that we get blood sugar spikes is because of carbohydrates. When we ingest carbohydrates, we need insulin to break down and store glucose. When you are doing a keto lifestyle or a ketogenic diet, your carbohydrates are kept really low. So there's less chance for those crazy blood sugar spikes, and you're able to keep your blood sugar even, which I'll talk about in a second, which actually then helps to lose a little bit of weight as well. So let's get into kind of the nitty-gritty, but the simple nitty-gritty of what keto is all about. Essentially, keto is a high-fat, low-carb, moderate protein way of eating. And those three components are crucial. This is not just a low-carb diet. This is not just a high-fat diet. And this is definitely not a high-protein diet either. So we really are looking for balance, and it's all about macros. So you have your macronutrients, and that is fat, carbohydrates, and protein. So those are the three macros that you're really looking at and calculating when you are doing keto. So let's start with the fat. It is your primary fuel. It's your primary energy source. So it's going to be what you're taking in the most of. So with keto, you're shooting for between about 65 to 80% of your calories coming from fat. Now that probably sounds astonishing, because we have been told that fat is bad, and that if you eat fat, you're gonna get fat, and trans fat and saturated fat and everything like that. So you are not going to get fat by eating fat. That's actually not how people get fat. If you eat way too much fat, way too much carbohydrates, way too much protein, if you eat way too much of any macronutrient, you're gonna gain weight. It's not as simple as calories in versus calories out, but essentially it is at the same time. So if you're eating 4,000 calories a day, but you're only expending 2,000 calories a day, you have an excess of 2,000 calories. However, the way that most people have gained weight recently is by an excess and a surplus of carbohydrates. And the reason this is that when we ingest carbohydrates, our body will use some of them, break them down into glucose and use them for energy. But if there's too much glucose, then our body stores it as fat. So it's really been predominantly carbohydrates and excess sugar and excess processed food that has led to, you know, the recent weight gain and obesity epidemic that we're seeing today. So don't be afraid of fat. Fat is good. We need fat, especially our brains. Our brains really, really need fat to function. So the low fat, no fat diet, gotta throw it away, you guys. Gotta get out of it. Anytime you see low fat or fat free, go and look at the sugar content. I bet you it's pretty high. Fat is flavor. Fat is satiety. So when you take out the fat, there's no flavor. It's not filling. So they shove sugar into it so that it tastes good and it's palatable. Take yogurt, for example. You can get full fat yogurt that's pretty low in sugar and tastes good. Or you can get fat-free yogurt that is typically highly, highly concentrated with sugar. So go with the full fat, you guys. It's better for you. It's more natural. So don't be afraid of fat. You know, and good fat. Let's, you know, don't just fry everything in peanut oil or soybean oil. We need good fat. We need high quality fat. So grass-fed butter, full-fat sour cream, and full-fat cheeses. Avocados are my favorite fat. Coconut oil is a great fat. I know there's been a lot of talk about saturated fat not being good, but you actually really need saturated fat in your diet. Again, brain health, saturated fat and brain health really go together. Stay away from trans fat. That is one that you definitely want to not use. So if you ever see hydrogenated or partially hydrogenated oil, stay away from it, walk away from it as fast as you can. If your butter is like really spreadable and a weird yellow color, check the back. It's probably hydrogenated oil, soybean oil, peanut oil, those kind of ones you want to stay away from. But olive oil, you know, avocados, coconuts in and of themselves are great fat sources as well. So that is all about fat. So let's move on to protein. So protein, you still want to get protein in. Protein is great for, you know, repairing and building your muscles. So it's an important macronutrient to get in. With keto, you're looking to get between 15 to 25% of your calories from protein. And the reason that it's kind of in this range is that, believe it or not, but if you have too much protein, it will actually get broken down into glucose. So if you are consuming too much protein and not enough fat and throwing off your macronutrients, then you're going to throw yourself out of ketosis. So you definitely want to watch that. And with protein, you can pick kind of proteins that have protein but also fat. So think bacon. Who doesn't love bacon? Side note, and I'll post more about this later, you can do keto and be vegan or vegetarian. You would just change your protein up and you would change your macros a little bit. But I'll post a separate video about that because it can get really confusing. So yeah, think, you know, 80-20 beef, or think, you know, good marbling on a steak. You know, think about dark meat chicken even as well. I still do breast meat. I just typically will add mayo and avocado to it to bring the fat content back up. But have fun with your proteins. So salmon and other, fatty fish is great because you get your omega-3s, which are really great for you, as well as DHA, which again is great for brain health. So we understand our fat percentage, so about 65 to 80% from fat, about 15 to 20, 25% from protein. So if you're doing the math in your head, you should start to think, that doesn't leave a lot for carbohydrates, does it? No, and that's by design. So really you want 5 to at most 10% of your daily calories coming from carbohydrates. And this does not mean to see if you can fit a cupcake or a brownie or a cookie in there. That's not the point, because that will spike your blood sugar. But think about getting your veggies in. Think about getting berries in. Berries are a great low carbohydrate fruit. So it's not just total carbohydrates that you need to be concerned about when looking at your carbohydrate intake. You're looking for your net carbohydrates. And all net carbohydrate means is that you take the total carbohydrates that are in your vegetable or fruit or whatever you're eating, and you subtract fiber. So total carbohydrates minus fiber gives you your net carbohydrates. And most people will want to keep their net carbohydrates around 30. There are some instances where you can go up to about 50, but you really don't want to go over 50 net carbohydrates. Obviously, if you're in a higher caloric range, then you'll need more net carbohydrates to keep your percentages right. So if you're an athlete or you do a lot of endurance training, or if you're a very large, strong man, which I'm not, then you'll need more net carbohydrates because you'll also be taking in more fat and more protein to maintain your energy source. I keep my net carbohydrates around 25%, and I keep my daily total calories probably between like 18 or 16 to 1800 calories. And that's what works for me. Everybody is different, so you really want to find the percentages that work for you. But this is, you still want to get vegetables in. Dark green vegetables are great sources of, your micronutrients. So all your vitamins and minerals, you still want to get those in there. And you find them more in vegetables than anything else. But dark greens are great because they'll give you a lot of those micronutrients, and they tend to be really low in their net carbs. So spinach, kale, Swiss chard, broccoli, celery, basically anything green will go. And then also you want to think about things that grow above ground because they tend to be lower in net carbs. So if you think about things that grow underground, like beets and potatoes and sweet potatoes and things like that, they are very high in their carbohydrate content. So you will start this whole process probably by reading labels a lot, or I tend to buy like fresh organic produce, so it tends to not have a label on it. But if you Google, you can find out what the carbohydrate level and what the nutrient level of different fruits and vegetables and food is. So you will be reading labels in the beginning, but then you'll kind of start to understand what foods really fit your macro requirements and what foods you want to add in. So as you can see in the beginning, keto is all about numbers. It's all about your macros. So you will want to track. You'll want to know what you're putting in your body. You'll want to know what your percentages are. You're going to want to see what your net carbohydrates are. So there's a lot of great apps out there that can really track all of that for you. There's MyFitnessPal. I use Carb Manager. It automatically calculates my net carbs. It gives me a nice little pie chart of where my macros are. So every day I know exactly where I am. And I now know my body a little bit better on keto, so I don't have to track every single day, but sometimes I still like to see where I am at. But definitely for the first 2 weeks at least, I highly suggest at least 30 days of really tracking everything that you're putting in your body and committing to keto 100%. This is not really something that you can just kind of come off and on with, because you're gonna confuse your body if you're one day doing high carbohydrates and the next day doing, high fat. Your body needs to learn to burn fat for fuel, and if you keep going high on your carbohydrates, you're gonna confuse your body, and it's not gonna get into ketosis. So really commit to giving it 30 days, 100% following the plan, and see what your body does, you guys. Just see. I did this as an experiment. I was really dealing with a lot of fatigue. I was dealing with inflammation. I was dealing with just not feeling like me. I wasn't comfortable in my skin. And I was just looking for something. I had been following paleo and it had helped with some of my symptoms, but something was still missing. And so I was like, you know what? I've been hearing about keto. Why don't I just give it a try? I'm studying nutrition. I work with a functional medicine doctor and a functional nutritionist. And I was like, let's just see where this goes. And honestly, within the first week and a half, my energy was up. I was feeling so good. I had lost the bloat. I was starting to, have more energy, be excited for the day. My mood really increased. So there are so many great benefits that I and a lot of people that I'm working with keto have already started to feel and discover within weeks, within a couple weeks. This isn't, oh, let's see 6 months down the road. It's pretty quick, the effects that you'll feel. Now I'm sure everybody's like, weight loss. We haven't talked about weight loss, right? Weight loss will most likely happen. I can't guarantee it because I can't watch what you eat, but if you stick with keto, I can almost guarantee that you will lose weight. Okay? I can almost guarantee that. I want to say that I can completely guarantee that, but I can't because of, laws and regulations and all of that stuff. But you will. When your body adjusts to eating fat and burning fat for fuel, your body is going to start feeding on your excess fat for fuel, and you will start to slim out. In the beginning, you'll probably see your weight go down about 3 to 5 pounds. That's water weight, you guys. I'm not going to sugarcoat that and say that that's fat loss. It's not. It's water. It's your body releasing water. Carbohydrates take in water when they're stored. So when you lower your carbohydrate intake, you're going to flush some of that water out. So please make sure it's not a macronutrient, but water really should be the 4th macronutrient. You need to make sure you're getting water in. So that's a little bit of a side note. But after that initial kind of drop in water weight, you will notice over the next couple weeks that your body will start to change. Your body composition will change. I'm not that big. I don't have a ton of weight to lose. I'm a personal trainer. I stay active. But I lost weight, you guys. I mean, I had been stuck at the same weight for about 6-9 months. It didn't matter what I did with my eating. It didn't matter if I increased my workouts. It didn't matter if I did cardio, didn't do cardio. Like my body was like, we're staying right here. And when I did keto, my body was like, oh, this is different. We like this. We want this to keep happening. And I was able to release some of the weight that kind of had just been stuck on me. So I really am a believer in keto for myself and for other people. And you guys, keto isn't for everybody, and it's okay if it's not for you. I'm a nutrition student, and I know that there is not a one size fits all, and that's okay. We were all made differently. Our bodies all operate differently and in a unique way. Even within keto, people don't, some people run better off of 65% fat. Some people run better at 80% fat. So it's all about finding the right percentages for you, the right eating plan for you that will work, that will be sustainable, that you can be consistent with, because consistency is key no matter what you're doing. No matter if it's nutrition or work or fitness, consistency is crucial in life, and definitely very important in nutrition as well. But if you are feeling stuck with your current eating plan, if you're feeling trapped in your own body, if you just feel like nothing's working and you feel like you've tried everything, but you haven't tried keto, I definitely suggest giving it 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. I mean, what is 3 months out of your life? If you're sick and tired of being stuck, why not try it and just see if it works? And if it doesn't, move on to something else. If you try keto, you're not happy, come talk to me. I design nutrition plans for people. Like if keto doesn't work for you, let's find something else that does. Keto works for me. Individually, keto works for me, and I'm gonna stay with it. But if it doesn't work for you, let's find something else for you to do, okay? So that is just really the basics of keto. I know it probably seems like that was a lot of information, but watch this video again, reach out to me, and let's figure it out. I will definitely be adding more videos to this channel, getting into more specifics about keto. So stay tuned.